Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Planet X News, September 19th, 2019. And ladies and gentlemen, I wanted to share an email that I got yesterday, and I was just actually reading it this morning. And look, I have to say, in all honesty, it was very, very disturbing, and I actually felt bad for the lady who wrote me the email. I've mentioned this many, many times before. I guess I have to keep mentioning it over and over and over again. I guess the entire deception of Planet X is going to be an ongoing problem on social media. There's just no way around it. More and more people are getting involved, but they're getting involved in the wrong way. And you've all heard of clickbait before. YouTube frowns upon it. It is actually in their rules about, whenever you create your thumbnails should not be clickbait, meaning, this extravagant, flamboyant, fake thumbnail making people think, oh, wow, I better watch that video. And then when you watch the video, it's really not what the thumbnail said it would be. So therefore, it's clickbait. And it's used constantly, throughout the internet and social media, whatever. But as I read this lady's email, she was telling me that over the last couple of years, she has been following several YouTube channels, and naturally she mentioned that she is a very religious person. Her entire family, she was brought up that way, and one of the YouTube channels that she follows she said she started following it, I believe, in 2016 and 2017. And she donated large sums of money to this one particular YouTube channel. And she even stated, I think it was in 2016, that she had ordered some products from this YouTube channel. I guess they were trying to sell merchandise, and she never got it. And she started making inquiries about where, I think it was a sweatshirt and t-shirts and hats and things of that nature. And she never got the products, and she had spent quite a bit of money. So the person who runs the YouTube channel made up an excuse and said that they would give her the money back, but it would take a little bit of time. That YouTube channel was claiming that they got ripped off in the production of these shirts and hats and things of that nature. Now, I have my own web store, online store. It's provided by Teespring. I design all of my own shirts, and that is all sponsored by YouTube. YouTube assimilated Teespring into YouTube, and you see at the bottom of the videos, you see those shirts scrolling across the screen. If you'd like to order one, it's on you. But this was way before Teespring got involved with YouTube. So she told me that the YouTube channel that she was following always kind of had a religious overtone to it. Every now and then they would quote scriptures and, things of that nature. I'm sure that you guys probably know who I'm talking about. I'm not going to drop any names here because it's probably going to piss me off. But, the lady was telling me that she went ahead and she donated large sums of money every single month, over and over and over again. And her husband started to question her about where this money was going. Who is this person? And she explained things to him, and he was not too happy with her actions. And she started watching another YouTube channel, and this YouTube channel is run by some woman. You guys may know who I'm talking about. And the lady that sent me the email, she said, I got really, really caught up in what this lady was showing in her videos. And she said, I really, really started to panic because of what she was showing. And she said, look, she was always showing these planetary looking objects in the sky over Alaska. And she said, we live in the state of Washington. So if these people in Alaska on these FAA webcams, if they were able to see this object, why couldn't I see it in the state of Washington? We're not that far away. We should be able to see it. So I started to question what this lady was showing. And a lot of people, folks, I've gone over this many, many times before, a lot of people show these FAA webcams to you. They show you still photographs. They show you the momentary video of an object. It's usually pink and it's moving across the sky. Yes, sometimes there's clouds in front of it, and it kind of moves opposite of the sun. So the sun's moving this way and the object is moving that way. And the lady said that she was thumbing through some other videos and doing some searches on YouTube, and she ran across my YouTube channel. And she actually watched the video that I did on lens flares. And she said for the first time in her life, she was so mad because the video that I did on the lens flares included some of the footage from the FAA webcams and the complete explanation. And she said that she was so mad because she had donated so much money over the years to the one specific YouTube channel, and then got caught up in the other YouTube channel that was showing these lens anomalies in these FAA webcams. And then she found my YouTube channel. She watched the video. She has now since joined our Facebook group. And she said, why? Her question to me was, why are they doing this? Why did this man take all of my money like that and just blatantly lie? And, I returned her email this morning with a very, very long explanation. Ladies and gentlemen, I can't say why people do this. Obviously, for the one channel, the one person perpetrating a complete fraud on this subject matter just simply does it for money, period. And they also use religion as that crutch. So they know that they can attract people by using their religion against them as a tool. I consider it to be as a weapon against you. And they know that you're probably a very, very good person deep down inside. And once they have you clickbaited in they'll ask you for money and donations and things of that nature. And they may come across the right person or several people that actually have money, have a good heart, and when you ask for money, that good-hearted person will give it to you, unbeknownst to what you are really doing in the background. And folks, I've mentioned many, many times all of the disinformation on the subject matter of Planet X, as we call it. And I mean, I actually hate the name that was given to this particular object, but you know, that goes all the way back to the 1930s with famed astronomer Percival Lowell. And it had nothing to do, I mean, the X was the Roman numeral 10. The man was looking for the 10th planet. NASA was another one who kicked off the name Planet X. The name Planet X has been around for a long, long time. But there's a lot of disinformation, and she had included a few short video clips to show me what she was watching on these YouTube channels, and a couple of still photographs. And she showed me, you know, gave me a link to the FAA webcams, which I already have. I never look at those cameras because, you know, in my early on investigations, I learned all about those cameras. I learned about how they work, and, you know, I just said, oh my, you know, this is complete BS. If there was a planet in the sky that was as visible as you see on your screen with my thumbnail, oh, believe me, we would be in a world of trouble. Big time. So I don't have an answer. I don't have an explanation why these other YouTube channels do what they do. There is a part of my mind that definitely thinks that there is purposeful disinformation put out there by these channels. And I don't even know if the person that runs those channels that put up this deceptive information, if they're like really a person. You know, I mean, I know they're a human being person, but who's really behind it? Is it actually just some little housewife, you know, running through FAA webcam images and video footage and making videos? Or is it a very highly educated person that works for, let's just say, maybe the government or a government? Because anybody with half a brain, just half, could easily see that that's just not real. It's just not real. But we do have a lot of people that aren't Earth, space, science knowledgeable. Let's just say that. And I guess they do get caught up in the pictures and the video clips. And something I learned early on in college, you know, I worked for a very, very large international marketing company, and psychology, sales psychology, it is actually part of what these people are doing to all of you. So they're using psychology on you, against you, and they're literally sucking you in. And I mean, look, I learned about it extensively. And I clearly see that when I do watch some of these videos, they make me sick. But I can see I can clearly see the psychology that they're trying to use against the people. And then you have people like me that know better and that want to get the truth out. And, I get slammed for it. Man, I get slammed for it left and right whenever I try to expose people who are faking you out. And I've mentioned that before also. It is what it is. I can handle it. But I want to go and I want to show you the video clips that the lady sent me. And I went and reviewed them myself, went back on the FAA webcams, pulled up the information. And I've also taken some still photographs and I've put it through some of my software. And I'm going to show you guys what that object is. Now, with these FAA webcams, and I've mentioned this before, folks, I'm sorry I got to beat a dead horse in the mouth, but we still have a lot of new people coming on board, and they don't know. They just don't know. So there's no sense in leaving them in the dark. But with these FAA webcams, there's two sets of them. There's the United States version and there's the Canadian version. The US uses a different camera. The Canadians use a newer digital camera. These cameras are not state-of-the-art. They are expensive, but they're not state-of-the-art digital cameras. They haven't been replaced or upgraded in years. They are also in weather-resistant enclosures. Some of them are in small domes. Some of them are in plexiglass, square, or rectangular enclosures. Some of them even look like the outdoor video cameras that you see on the side of buildings that are, they're about that long, and they got a metal housing around it and a little square screen. So that's kind of what these cameras look like. Now, here's the big kicker. You can get moisture on the inside of these lenses. And it does happen because remember, these cameras are exposed to heat and cold and all kinds of weather. The cameras are not perfect. If you know anything about photography, you can actually get mold, M-O-L-D. You can get mold on the interior of a lens. If you get mold on the interior of a lens, you'll eventually see it in your photographs. If you're using a good 35 millimeter digital camera with removable lenses. If you don't believe me on this, Google it. Google it and look it up. You can also look up moisture on your lens. And you will then start to clearly see that, oh, wow, all of the time I've been following that YouTube channel, wow, that was nothing more than moisture on the inside of the lens, on a lens flare. So that's why that object always seems to be pink. You ever notice that? And it always seems to have those craters in it. And it does look absolutely mind-blowing. That there would be a huge pink planet in the sky, but it's only in the sky over Alaska. Son of a... What's going on in Alaska? Is Alaska hiding something from the world? No, it's not. And what you see as far as the craters is nothing more than internal moisture that has built up. And ladies and gentlemen, there are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of these cameras throughout Alaska and Canada. And they don't have the personnel to run around to these locations, climb up a ladder, remove the camera, remove the housing, and clean the lens. These FAA webcams are not meant for astronomy or sky watching. They are weather cameras. They are used for pilots, so they can actually look at the weather where they are going, because the weather in Alaska can change very rapidly. And a lot of these people are flying those single engine planes. And yeah, that's what they're used for. Now, there's also some of these cameras that are used for highway safety, to look at roadways, to make sure that they're clear or they're not clear. I have done a very extensive background investigation into the FAA webcams, but I just can't seem to get it through a lot of people's thick heads. And then, they call me names. Okay, I'm telling you the truth. Other people are lying to you. Why would you be mad at me? Doesn't make any sense. So that internal moisture is now magnified from the camera, magnified, and projected into the actual image. Now here's something else. These video cameras do not take video, like recorded video. They are taking screenshots. They're taking pictures. Every few, seconds, minutes, I don't know. Some of them, I don't know how their timing is. But then those photographs are all placed into video, a video format. So that's the way a camera works. If you're going to record a video, it takes frames, frame by frame. Well, they couldn't possibly house 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, for years and years and years and years, all of that video footage. They would have to have servers the size of Facebook, Google, and YouTube combined, because it's too much data. So they're taking individual photographs. When you're taking those individual photographs, those frames, that is what makes that object look like it's rotating. But it's really not rotating. All you're doing is you're looking at the magnified moisture. And it is superimposed into the video. Because number one, you're not dealing with film, regular film. You're dealing with a digitized image and processors and computers, computer chips. So that's why you see that object kind of rotating, and the sun's going this way and the object's going that way. That is indicative of lens flaring. And you always notice that whenever you do see that object in these FAA webcam videos, that the sun is kind of almost out of the picture. Just you see the rays of the sun coming down. But you see that big pink cratered planet. And the sun's going this way, and the planet is going that way. Well, that's indicative of lens flaring. So, I feel very bad for the woman and the money that she has lost and supposedly donated. A YouTube channel using her religious beliefs against her to literally suck her dry of her retirement savings, basically. That's pretty disgusting. I would actually think that would be in the lines of criminal fraud. Plain and damn simple. Happens every day. People go out there and they open up these GoFundMe pages, and they're committing fraud by making up a fake story and asking people for donations to help out. I mean, listen, here in Pittsburgh 2 years ago, some young woman shaved her 5-year-old son's head, shaved it bald, shaved off his eyebrows, took photographs of him, created a GoFundMe account, and said, "My little boy has cancer, and I want to save his life, and we don't have the money, and I want my child to survive. Can you help me? Donate money." The woman collected, I don't know, tens of thousands of dollars. I mean, she collected a boatload of money. And then a friend of hers, actually it was her best friend, that found out what she was doing, and she actually turned her in. And, she was charged and convicted of fraud. Just recently, last year, a boyfriend-girlfriend team out of New Jersey did it with a homeless guy. You all probably saw the news reports out there on that. Man, they collected a couple $100,000. Yeah. And they were out buying BMWs and taking cruises and going to tropical destinations. And man, they were just partying it up. And guess what? They all got convicted, and they all had to pay back the money. I think GoFundMe returned everybody's money, but it was a very, very large portion of money. So the opportunity to create deception and wrap money around it like that, it's out there. For the people that are committing this type of fraudulent stuff on YouTube, I don't know why they do it. I mean, maybe they like people in the comments section praising their work. But what are you really praising? You're praising some moisture on a camera lens out in the middle of Alaska. That's what you're praising. Doesn't make sense, does it? But I'm going to show you the video clip, and I'll show you the still photographs that I took, and we'll zoom in on them, and you'll see for yourself that I want you folks to just start to understand. I want you to be able to distinguish a complete and utter fraud from the real thing. And folks, if you guys want to donate money to YouTube channels, I do it all the time. I mean, some YouTube channels that I like, I donate money. I donate money to Dutch Sense. I've donated money to Mr. MBB333. I've donated hundreds of dollars to Marfugal TV. I've donated money to the Grand Solar Minimum YouTube channel. Lynn Oz in her prophecy channel, I've donated to. There's nothing wrong with that, but when you are giving excessive amounts and you are being targeted and somebody's using your religious faith against you, and they know that you're a good person, and they know if they give you a sob story, you're gonna get your checkbook out and you're gonna pay them. Yeah. That's sad. And I would think that would be highly illegal. And eventually, sooner or later, some of these YouTube channels that do this type of deceptive thing, they are going to run across the wrong person, and they're going to screw that wrong person, and that person is going to either go to an attorney, or they're going to go to a district attorney or law enforcement, and they're going to build a case. And you're going to get hammered. Believe me. I've seen the cases over and over and over again. I've had people donate large sums of money to Planet X News. I've returned it. I've mentioned that before. I had one lady from Japan, maybe 2 years ago. She sent me $1,000 through PayPal. And I'm like, oh, hell no. This had to be a mistake. Maybe she pushed one too many zeros. Maybe she meant to send $10 and she sent 1,000. And the currency conversion. And I actually reversed it. And, you get an email address with that transaction. And I emailed her back, and her name was Rose. She was an American woman. She was living in Japan, and her husband was Japanese, and she had been living there for years and years and years. And I emailed her back, and I said, look, that was very nice of you to make that kind of contribution, but that's way, way, way over the top. And I reversed the charge and sent her money back to her. I had a lady from Germany in 2017 sent me $500. Not once, not twice, but 3 times. Sent it all back. Every bit of it. Gave her the explanation of why I was returning that donation. Just way over the top. But hey, folks, it's your money. You can do with it as you please. But just don't get caught up in people using you as an income deceptively. That is just plain damn wrong. Especially when we are coming upon times when, hey, you need everything that you can get. You worked hard for the money. What are you getting in return? Nothing. Nothing at all. But let's go ahead. I'm going to get into this video, and I'll show you guys exactly what I'm talking about. Let me shrink my head down a little bit here. Do-do-do-do. Do-do-do-do-do. Now this is what she sent me, and she said that she was observing this on her computer a while back. She said that she had recorded it. I don't know if it was last year, or she said she had it in her computer and she was recording it from the FAA webcams herself after seeing it in a video. And this is what she saw in the person's video on YouTube. And the person was talking about religious things. So I guess they get you in the mindset of, your faith, and then they use it against you. It's terrible. Let me take a sip of my espresso. You guys just watch that. I've included these shots. These are my photographs here. And I'll explain these to you. You guys watch this for a minute. Then we'll pull up the individual photographs and I'll explain it to you. At the very end of this video clip, you're going to see the exact prime example of moisture on the lens. Just watch. I'm going to pull up the live chat. Oh boy, oh boy. Alrighty then. So did you guys see the photograph at the very end that shows you the side-by-side of that pink object only floating around in the skies in Alaska, and the photograph of the moisture on the lens? And I can see there's a few loudmouths in the live chat, and I'll tell you what. Let's see. I'm digging out my wallet. There you go. I got a stack of cash here. Tons of 50s and 20s. You guys see that? There's probably about $400 or $500 right there. All right. Yeah. I will bet any of the loudmouths in the live chat, and you have me dead to rights. Legitimate bet, $500, $500 right now, $500. Anybody want to prove me wrong? Like my pap used to tell me, put your money where your mouth is. So if you think I'm lying to you, and you think that what I'm showing you and explaining to you is complete BS, let's get down to it. Let's roll the dice, baby. Cough up that money. Let's do a legitimate bet. You have me live on YouTube putting my money where my big mouth is. Let's see if some of the big mouth people in the live chat can do that. I doubt it. Yeah, buddy. And I earned that money legitimately. That's part of my mafia money. The Planet X News Mafia. So let's see. Let's take a look at the live chat here. Is there any takers on my bet? Come on, man. There got to be somebody in there with a big mouth in the live chat. Come on. Let's have some fun, man. Hey, you could even pay your $500 debt to me when you lose the bet. You can just pay it through PayPal. You know, I feel very bad for that lady. I really, really do. And her husband, she said her husband hasn't talked to her in a couple of weeks because he's so mad about the amount of money that she spent. He started going back through their banking online, she told me, and he saw all of these constant donations to that one particular YouTube channel. And he got a hold of the guy's email address, and he sent him a pretty scathing email demanding that all of those donations that his wife made to be returned. And he didn't get any response whatsoever. None. So he sent another one and another one, and he got no response. So you probably kissed that money goodbye. Come on, man. Anybody taking my bet out there? There got to be one of you suckers. No, I'm just joking. I'm not joking about the bet. Anybody want to call me on this? Anybody want to prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that there's a pink planet with a big bunch of craters in it floating around out there over Alaska? I'll tell you what. Let's do this. I'll put up $1,000 to your $500. I'll give you the opportunity to win $1,000, and you only have to put up $500. Let's do that. Yeah. I'm feeling generous. Yeah, baby. Anyways, enough of this video. I'm going to show you guys the still photographs, and let's examine these real quick, and then I'll let you guys go. Now that I probably made a bunch of you mad. You're all mad at me. People get so mad at me when I tell the truth. I swear I'm going to start lying. I'm going to just start outright lying to everybody. Here, I'll start with this lie. I was taking out the garbage yesterday, and the beautiful moon was out, and I saw a massive blue planet streak by, but I wasn't able to take photographs of it. But just take my word. Yeah, just take my word. Now let's take a real close-up look at this. Okay, so if you do see that photograph, and you see that photograph in a YouTube video, you're going to say to yourself, oh my God, Ralph, we better run for the hills, honey. No, don't run for the hills. It's nothing but moisture on the lens. Now, you say to yourself, oh, but wait a minute, Scott. Wait a minute. There's clouds. The clouds are in front of it. No, in actuality, that's just not true. And you say, oh, wait a minute, Scott. Wait a minute. Look at that streak of light from the sun. It's in front of the planet. That's actually not true. Number one, it's not a planet. It is just a lens flare with moisture. And that is being superimposed into the image. You're losing your bet, man. You're losing your bet. Let's take a look at this photograph. So you said to me that the object was behind the clouds. And there are instances where you will see that object that you claim to be a planet behind the clouds. You can even see photographs where people take of the two suns. One's kind of behind a cloud and one's not. But all that is the image being ghosted internally inside of the digital camera. See, folks, I've said this before. If you're using 35 millimeter film, you won't get that effect. You're using a digital camera that has a processor. It's a little mini computer, and it has to actually translate what it's seeing, and that's what happens. So let's take a look at this picture a little closer. I inverted it, created a negative photograph for it. So in actuality, those thin clouds right there, they're behind that object. The blue planet that you see there. They're behind it. How the hell is that possible? That would mean that that object is a couple thousand feet from the Earth's surface. Well, how the hell would that be possible? Can somebody riddle me that? I mean, let's be honest here. Can somebody tell me how that would be possible? Yeah. You're losing the bet, baby. Now, I want you to pay very close attention to this photograph, because what I've done here in this photograph is I've used a different piece of my software to show you that you're actually seeing through that object. That object, that pink planet, is transparent. Why is it transparent? Because it is a lens anomaly. It is a lens flare, and you can see right through it. So if you take a look at this photograph, and you see right where my cursor is, right there, that little spot there, that little spot there, and this. See this black triangle looking thing here? Well, that was actually the sun being illuminated way in the back, shining off of the surface. Watch this. Now, what do you see shining through there? Yeah, you see light. The light is translated into this aqua blue color right here. So that's actual light making its way through those thin clouds that you see here, all through here. Those are real thin, wispy looking clouds. No light was shining through those clouds except for very small portions. Well, there you go. Oh, but you know what? Maybe that's some type of glacier on that planet. I don't think so. Same thing here. You can see the light anomaly right here at the bottom. If you zoom in, you can see it right there. And again, if somebody shows you that photograph, you would say, holy shit! Look at that. It's nothing more than that lens flare with moisture in the interior of the camera housing. That's all that it is. You know who's good at doing that? Is that whack job lady on YouTube, that Gina Marie Colvin. Oh my dear God. You know, folks, you could also get wee teeny tiny little dust particles on the inside of a mirror on a telescope, and also on the lens of a camera. They could be so microscopic that you can't see them until you take a photograph, and now you have all of these little dots on the photograph. And if you're photographing into direct light, now those little microscopic pieces of dust are going to be magnified 1,000, 10,000 times, and they're going to look like, what the hell is that? So if you don't believe me, go buy a microscope. Go on Amazon, buy yourself a microscope, and get a little bit of moisture on a lens or a slide, and then stick it under the microscope and look at it. Holy hell! There'll be a Planet X object in your microscope. Holy hell, you ought to be on the news. Same thing here, folks. Zoom into it. Look, there's a big number 3 right in the center of it. Same thing here, just inverted. And if you take a look, here's a really weird shape there. That is perfect. Look at that. Looks like a big, gigantic paper clip. Yeah. Maybe it's an alien Death Star floating around in the sky above Alaska and only seen on the FAA webcams. Dun 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 dun. Here, let me show you one more thing. Let's get out of here. And here is the prime example. I know this photograph, it's a little shitty, but I mean, this just shows you, if you compare the pink planet in the sky on the FAA webcams over Alaska, this is from I got that picture from a photography website. And it's all about photography and videography and the do's and the don'ts. And I noticed on their website they had one drop-down menu, cleaning your camera. Cleaning your camera. And that's where they had a photograph of moisture, microscopic moisture, on a lens. And I said to myself, wow, look at that. That looks just like the FAA webcam pictures. Holy hell. Who's taking my bet now? Folks, the reason for this live stream is not to make fun of other YouTube channels, not to call people out, but to teach you. To teach you. That's it. I think it's pretty damn awful that people get ripped off, people are lied to, people are deceived. It's not my cup of tea. It actually makes me pretty mad, because I've invested just a little more than half of my life investigating and researching what is out there. And I found it. And I believe beyond a shadow of a doubt that I've proved it. I could walk away at any time and leave it at that. But I see things happening to this planet now that are somewhat terrifying. And I see the way that the media and the government cover things up. And they leave us all in the dark. And I don't think that's fair. And we're going to be moving into some times here on this planet that are going to be terrifying for some of us. Some of us will go about our daily lives and live out our lives, and that will be that. And then there's the misfortunate people that encounter earthquakes, volcanoes, catastrophic weather. It's happening right now. As you're watching this video, think about it. As you're watching this video right now, there's a very high possibility that somebody, somewhere in this world, is losing their life in a catastrophic situation, whether it be weather related. We don't have too many deaths with volcanoes yet. Earthquakes. Maybe you're not sympathetic to that. Maybe you don't care. But I do. I really do, from the bottom of my heart. I think about it every single day. There are days that I watch news and I get reports from all over the world, and I go through this information, and it's disturbing. It does get to me, and but I keep pushing forward. I hide a lot of the emotion that I succumb to seeing these things. It's a wonder I don't have PTSD. Huh. And speaking of earthquakes, in my live stream yesterday morning, I was mentioning that all of the built up pressure over the month of August and the first couple of weeks in September, that we should be on the definite lookout for higher magnitude earthquakes. And we have these coronal holes that were facing the Earth, and we've been under this steady stream of these heavily charged particles impacting our magnetosphere. Lo and behold, I wake up between 3:30 and 4:30 every single morning to get my day started. Woke up at 4 a.m., turned my computer on, and lo and behold, bingo. We'll go ahead and jump over to that real quick. Oh, you know what? We won't even do that. We'll just pull this up, pull this up. I'm going to pull up Google Earth here. I have all of the live earthquake feeds tapped into Google Earth. It's a little trick I have. So as I was talking about the very high possibility of these earthquakes striking magnitude 6 or higher because of all of the built up pressure over the course of the last 6 weeks, bingo, hours went by. I talked about it in my morning live stream, and lo and behold, it definitely happened. As we move into this area, and this is the Indonesia area, as you can see. We'll click on, there was a multitude of earthquakes here. We'll just move in a little closer. We had a magnitude 6.0, and the depth, you can see the depth right here, almost 600 kilometers deep. Very, very deep earthquake. And then a magnitude 6.2. Depth 611 kilometers deep. 380 miles deep into the earth. And then there was a smaller one, a magnitude 5.7. Depth 638 kilometers deep, almost 400 miles deep into the earth. That has to be one of the deepest earthquakes I've ever seen. I've seen them 600 kilometers, 610, 638. I think that may be the deepest earthquake that I've ever seen. So again, a couple of hours went by after my live stream yesterday morning, specifically talking about the built up pressure that was occurring over here in this part of the Ring of Fire, which surrounds this whole entire area. And sure enough, I know there was a few more earthquakes. .1, 5.3. So that just goes to show you, folks, I just might know what I'm talking about. Yeah, but I think we're gonna be expecting a lot more as far as earthquake activity goes. Let's take a quick peep at this earthquake map. Now, I mentioned in my live stream yesterday morning that there was a high possibility that internal pressure that was building would make its way from the South Pacific over to the west coast of the United States, possibly Mexico, possibly the west coast shoreline of South America. As you can see, taking a look at California, It's just pretty much riddled with larger size earthquakes. Same thing happening up here in Alaska. And a couple of odd quakes going on here in Oklahoma. Small. They could be due to the fracking. It's really hard to say. Let's see what's going down here close to the Mexican border. Magnitude 3.46, very, very shallow. So things are starting to light up a little bit here in the state of California. A lot of that seems to be east of the Sierra Nevada mountains. I'll be keeping a close eye on all of this today, because I think eventually some things are gonna pop off. There's a high possibility that if there are larger magnitude earthquakes, some of that pressure may be transferred over to the west coast of the United States or west of the South Pacific, on the other side of the Pacific Ocean. So you can see these earthquakes right here. We could zoom into them. And these were 3 quakes. Usually sometimes when you see a double quake like that, sometimes it may be a repeater. 2 seismic devices might have picked up one seismic event. But in this case, it wasn't. This was definitely 2 earthquakes, one magnitude 6, one magnitude 6.2, and that you could tell by the depth and also the GPS coordinate. Magnitude 6, 591 kilometers deep. These are deep earthquakes, folks. These are really, really deep. That one there, 638 kilometers deep, that's scary deep. Okay, that's 400 miles deep into the Earth's crust. That's just amazing. 2 more quakes here, 4.4, 4.8. And we may see this just ring straight across the Pacific. I don't think that it would happen today, but anything's possible. It does take a little bit of time for that pressure to cross over the Pacific and strike the west coast. But you could already see. I mean, you could see it with your own eyes. It's currently happening right now. So I'm going to keep a very, very close eye on it. And it definitely looks like the west coast of the United States is rocking and a-rolling with quakes. Let's just hope and pray that they don't get smacked with another 7-pointer. But the situation is conducive for something like that to happen. So let's take a quick look at the SDO, and then I'm going to let all of you guys go. We'll take a quick look, see what's shaking. Now this is the coronal hole right here that I mentioned in my live stream yesterday morning. This coronal hole here, now this one, I'm going to go ahead and wait till it gets back over to where I want it. We'll stop it. Now, this coronal hole is what we were watching very carefully. And you would say to yourself, oh, well, you know, that's kind of small. Well, folks, you can probably fit, maybe 50 or 60 Earths in that coronal hole. The one that's right below it, where my cursor is right there, is also forming. Where is the Earth in conjunction with the Sun? We are just about right there where my cursor is. So we are just a little bit slightly below the Sun's equator. So as you can see, if you just draw an imaginary line, you can see that we are going to be right in the eye of that coronal hole. Those smaller ones sometimes produce much higher solar wind speeds, and that is the speed of those heavily charged particles streaming from the Sun directly towards the Earth. And I'm starting to definitely look towards a higher magnitude earthquake. We may get close to a 7 or above. within the next 24 hours. It could happen right now. But I think it's definitely going to happen within the next couple of days. We may see a series of higher magnitude 6s and 7s over the next 5 to 7 days. It is definitely possible. What I was noticing, though, is that coronal hole and this one right here, they seem to be merging together, and the sun's atmosphere is splitting apart right there. That's going to create a larger coronal hole and more of an area for the solar wind to just stream directly towards the Earth. So we'll see how that pans out. I'm going to let this play a little closer here, and I'm going to stop it right there. Now you see that coronal hole that we were talking about shrunk down. However, right below it, you can see right below it, it now opened up the atmosphere of the sun a little bit bigger, and that is damn near spot on directed straight towards the Earth. We may even see several more volcanic eruptions go off today, within, I would say from today, within the next 5 to 7 days. I mean, we may see some pretty violent volcanic eruptions. I think we're definitely going to see some increased seismic activity. Like I said yesterday in my live stream, I mentioned all of this exactly as I was telling you, exactly as I'm telling you right now. Hours later, what happens? Boom, boom. 2 magnitude 6 earthquakes, and they are deep as hell. So that's a telltale sign that that pressure is probably going to transfer right across the Pacific, and anything on the east side of the Pacific, meaning the west coast of California, Mexico, and South America, man, they are in the crosshairs. No doubt about it. No way to get away from it. So these are just some of the effects, folks, that we're going to be going through over the next decade. We have this solar minimum to deal with. We have the influx of a planetary body that does not belong in our solar system that we call Planet X, now orbiting the sun every 28 days. I've proved it. It's happening. There's nothing we can do about it. But we just must maintain that knowledge. The more you know, the better off you are going to be. Keeping in touch with all of the information is the key, because at least you know what's happening or what can happen, and you can prepare for it. Remember, again, knowledge is power. We cannot allow that power and that knowledge to be taken away from us, even though it is being done. It is being taken away from us little by little, each and every day. And that is critical, very critical. So we will see what transpires. Later on today, I'm going to be taking a look at the magnetopause and the solar wind models. I'm not going to bother all of you with that right now. I got a pretty busy day ahead of me, but I will definitely be taking a look at it. I know Mark over at the Blue Kool-Aid channel does an exceptional overview of what's happening with our magnetosphere and the solar wind. He will probably be on top of that today. Probably guarantee it. If you guys are not subscribed to his YouTube channel, get your asses over there. Subscribe to his YouTube channel, because Mark has come a long way and he has learned a lot, and he's doing a fantastic job at explaining these things. Very, very proud of him, and I'm very proud to call him a friend. So, folks, this is what we're looking at right here. And over the next decade, this is what we're going to be talking about all the time. You may not see any of this in mainstream media because of all of the crappy and cruddy politics that are going on. But believe me, you stay tuned to Planet X News. I will never lie to you. I will never steer you wrong. And you will always, always get the hardcore truth. This is Scott from Planet X News. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being with me here this morning. Thank you for your support also. Take care, folks. Be safe out there.